I rub it with Oxy-Dry, and here I am doing the finishing step with the Hoover Hush Tone. I'll be post grooming and power grooming, I guess we call it, and another extraction with the vacuum after cleaning this carpet, which I used. Go back to the previous video. I used the green stripe Astro turf. And as I explained in the previous video, I used to use those all the time. In fact, it was the only pad I used for quite a while. There was no Iron Man, there was no microfiber, and the only other option was the loopy ones, which I never liked. So they were my number one pad, only pad, for probably at least 5 years or maybe more, until the other options started coming on the scene. But anyway, I wasn't sure that it was a good choice for residential, but it was a perfect choice for this carpet, and it cleaned perfectly well. Go back to the previous video, I'll talk about that. But what's interesting is I did this, and then I went and did a small family room downstairs. It wasn't very big, and I did the steps. Now I'm up here about to vacuum. This carpet's dry. Seriously, it's dry. Now that's interesting. Yes, interesting. It was definitely getting wet when I was cleaning. Let's go over here. This was the last area that I was in. Okay, I can still feel a little bit of moisture here. So it's drying within half hour, 45 minutes. Isn't that interesting? And of course I was shower feeding, and if you watch the video you see that I certainly was applying solution and on a consistent basis, so it wasn't that I was running it too dry. I definitely was not. It's just interesting that it's drying so fast. It is a dry day. Our humidity is pretty low right now because we're actually below freezing, and we've had quite a bit below freezing nights and often during the day, so that makes a difference. The air gets pretty dry. But anyway, let's do a post vacuuming grooming. This is what I prefer to do rather than using a rake. I like the look. Carpet looks like it was vacuumed, because it was. And it's gonna, and if there's any particulates that might have been lifted up and not, it's still sitting on the fibers there, it'll pick it up obviously, and it'll probably accelerate drying a little bit at least, although obviously that's not an issue, and it normally isn't an issue at all when I clean, but because it's normal for me to have dry times of an hour or less. And that's one of the reasons why I absolutely prefer using the shower feed, because I'm able to be so precise in my application of my product. Because if you're going to spray the carpet, and there's nothing wrong with doing that, I'm not saying you shouldn't, like, whatever, that's another way to do it, but one of the things that you absolutely have to do is apply a little bit more than you necessarily would need, because you're going to be taking a few minutes to work your way across the carpet, and you'll cover the whole area. Say if you spray 200 square feet or something like that, well, by the time you get to the furthest point, the carpet will already begin absorbing and drying out your solution. So that's one of the reasons why I like using the shower feeding, is because I am, put that on there carefully, that's where it was. I'm able to apply exactly the amount of solution I need at that moment, and I don't apply more than I need. That's not a huge deal by any means, but that's just one reason why I do it the way I do. And I've done the pre-spray, I use the pressure sprayer and apply it that way. I even had I think a year or so where I was using Pepsi cans and air pumps and everything, and it worked fine. That was before. That was before they came up with the battery-powered sprayers. Because there was a time, for you young guys, where we didn't have those sort of things. That's been, there's been so many things that have come on the market over the last 10 years that we simply didn't have. It's nice having battery-powered pressure sprayers. They're great. But 30 years ago when I began, that didn't exist. We were always, having to use a hand pump and everything. Not that that's not a bad thing. At least it works. But anyway, things change, but anyway, this is looking really good. And you know what I'm noticing is that the yarn is really fluffed up nicely. Yeah, that AstroTurf was a good choice to lift the yarn on this carpet a little bit. It'll flatten down, of course, really quick, but for the moment anyway, it's fluffed up and looking great, actually. Again, all of this is dry already. So, carpet is, again, one of the reasons I like to vacuum groom with the vacuum is, well, it's easier to push the vacuum than it is to push a rake back and forth. But it does take a little bit longer, but not much. Because the rake is obviously wider. But I think it's less stressful on me. Rather than pushing and pulling a rake, I really feel it in my shoulders. Much more so than the vacuum is just rolling back and forth, really without any effort hardly. And I feel these things more as I age. Fortunately though, I'm not actually experiencing any problems with any of my joints so far. No issues with knees or hips or shoulders, although I find sometimes my shoulders do get sore. Getting old. But, I've done steam cleaning many years ago, and my goodness me, if I'd been doing steam cleaning all this time with a truck mount and wanding and all that, there's no way in the world I'd be doing this anymore. I would have worn myself out. One of the reasons that I wanted to do the rotary is I figured out a long time ago that from a physical point of view, the rotary is much easier on you. And that's one of the reasons why I don't like the OP, is that there's certainly more vibration, obviously, coming at you when using an OP. Not that it's necessarily a bad thing, but I've read a few comments from people using OPs, and they talk about that. It's not like I'm making it up. Especially the wheels up machine, like the Challenger or whatever. Just, you guys who are using it, think about it when you're using it. I mean, there is vibration. Maybe it's not an issue. I don't know. But I know there's no issue with a rotary because there's no vibration. And we're not getting younger. Boy, this carpet is looking very good. I'm really impressed. I'm going to be using the green stripe Astro turf a lot more for residential. I had gone away from them years ago, but in some cases they're definitely going to be a good choice, I think. So all I have to do after I do this is groom the steps. The family room I don't have to groom because it's a level loop, and it turned out really good. She's really thrilled with that. That's some really obvious staining, and yeah, there was a mat there that I did, and it looked pretty bad. It was at the back door, and she's just ranting about how it looks brand new again. So that's what we do. Yeah, this is just turned out really nice. You know, basically, I'll be when I leave, the carpet, most of this carpet is dry. Got an elderly lady in this house, and that's one of the things people really appreciate about the method is, you know, by the time you leave, where you began is almost always dry, if you're doing it right. And again, that's one of the reasons I prefer using the shower feeding, because I can get a faster dry time because I'm much more precise in the way I'm applying the solution. Anyway, so I'll let you go. Thanks for watching and have a good day.